Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Marvel Movie Talk. And here we are at the end of the road of season 1. But apparently, they are going to be adding a lot of road to this show. But we are going to be looking back on season 1, the entire season of Daredevil Born Again. Keeping that in mind, that if you haven't seen all of them or any of them, you're going to get things spoiled, so be ready for that. And we look forward to talking about it with everyone, including a first-timer who will be joining us today for a little while during the show, Phil Marks. Phil, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you joining us for the first time.
Thank you for having me, man. It was fun hanging out with you over on Hughesy's channel during the M. Night Shyamalan roundtable we did there. And I'm pumped to talk some Daredevil with you over here.
Yeah, there was a chance that Husey was going to join us today, but he's already 8 hours drunker than we are here on the West Coast where I live. So, but I do have some thoughts from him that I'll sprinkle in. He messaged me something. But Phil, we appreciate you being here, and I appreciate talking about something that I enjoy more than M. Night Shyamalan's The Village. That will definitely be fun. With us, as always, is our favorite Brooklyn boy. See, now I figured out a way to do it. You're our favorite Brooklyn boy, the one, the only, identified as Nightgown Man, David Brody. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Happy to be here. Happy to be favorite Brooklyn boy, at least for us. I'll take it.
Yeah. Marcos never wrote back to me, so that meant he was too busy. So you remain our Brooklyn boy for this week. Fantastic. And we're going to have some of our regulars popping in throughout the course. We're doing what we like to call an extended episode because there's so much to talk about the season finale, about the entire season, thoughts about season 2. I think an hour wasn't going to contain us. So we're going to do basically a double-sized issue. And we all always loved the double-sized issue. But here with us for now is our usual, a semi-familiar face. Welcome, sir, who has his microphone clicked off.
He's got the beard.
This thing is crushing my head like I'm a police commissioner.
Oh no, too soon.
Wait, is he Daredevil or Red Guardian?
I don't know anymore. I can't feel anything above my nose.
Because of the way that the light is hitting the horns that you have on, and people will be able to look at the thumbnail and see you with this on, I suppose. We'll also post it on social media. But the way that the light is hitting that hat, I actually thought you only had the one horn. So you were missing the one that Karen gave to Matt. So we're going to dive in. We're going to include conversation from the chat as we always do. But Phil, this is your first time with us, and we definitely want your thoughts on the finale. But let's start sort of broad, big picture, your thoughts on this season of Daredevil Born Again and how it compares to the legacy of the Netflix series.
Well, I don't know if it can necessarily stack up to, what they accomplished in the first 3 seasons, in the Netflix series. Although this was a good extension of that. I do feel like some of the characters like Kirsten was sort of shoved in there. BB Reports, I feel like was like, we didn't even need this in the show, throughout the whole series. And and so, but I mean, I didn't dislike the series at all. I actually quite enjoyed it. And it's weird because it seemed like the first episode, they really rushed through setting up like, here's what the world's like in this season. But then, spoiler alert, you get to the finale and it's like, here's what the world's like for the rest of this series now, so which was okay. But yeah, not to jump the gun, I was a little disappointed that, the finale didn't have some sort of like maybe round 2 with Bullseye or whatever.
Yeah.
But we'll probably get to that. And overall, I enjoyed it. My favorite episode, I think, was episode 5.
Well,
where they were in the bank.
That's why you're here on the show, because that was my favorite episode. I loved that episode. To
I loved it.
me, that is a near perfect hour of television. You can qualify it. Great Marvel television, Marvel
Mhm.
Disney Plus. All those things are true. But I was like, no, this is just great. I think you could not even really know. You could get like a 2-sentence recap and watch that and be like, oh, yeah, that was really good. I think the true test would be I could show it to my wife and she'd be like, all right, yeah, that one was good, because she doesn't keep up on any of this. There's too much. A really important question before we move on to the finale in particular. I'd like to get your thoughts, Phil, on Michael Gandolfini.
Fan favorite.
And keep in mind, I'd hate for anything to happen to you if you were to give the wrong answer.
Yeah. So, Daniel, his right-hand man from Staten Island, played by James Gandolfini's son, who was cast in The Many Saints of Newark for the simple reason that he looked like a young James Gandolfini.
Right.
You don't have that excuse on this show, but I don't want to bias anybody's opinions, but what do you think of him on this show?
I thought he was pretty solid. Yeah, I enjoyed it. He was actually
Well, it sure was great having Phil on it. No,
Yeah.
I'm
All the
sorry.
time we
I was
have.
basically I was setting it up just to do that. But
okay. Yeah,
no, no,
I
no.
just I think he plays the little Weasley rat very well. So
Yeah, no, I think
good with
that
it.
for what they have asked him to do, he is delivering what it is. But, there are characters that we've seen, thrown downstairs or through windows. And there's just, I was just always hoping for something really bad to happen to him. But hey, we've got season 2. And look, when we have across the pond royalty, we might not have gotten Husey, but Craig Robinson is checking in and saying, hello, we're great. Great. Glad to see you. And Kemi Egan reminds us that, of course, his name is Gandolfoni. That is what we refer to him as.
For
So that's
me,
what we.
For
Yeah,
me,
go ahead.
it was Vanessa though. For me, I was like, I wish harm upon Vanessa in the show, folks. Like
Yeah,
how many
of course,
times
just
you
in the
gonna
show.
lie and
Yeah.
like how many times are you gonna lie and like have Fisk not snap on you or like not be upfront and forthright with a bunch of this stuff. But I don't know. We'll get into it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I feel like Big Hurt, Frank Thomas sized Hurt is heading for Vanessa because now that Matt knows, it's kind of inevitable. And yeah, I agree with your point, Phil, in terms of I like to get a little bit of a satisfying ending. I don't want all set up for the next thing. I was furious at the last Into the Spider-Verse movie that I didn't realize it's like, okay, you're not going to tie up anything. I saw the last Mission Impossible movie with Mr. Eric Conner over there. And yes, they're setting up the next one, which they say is the final one. But it ended in a way you're like, okay, yeah, I feel good about this. I don't know. I think we could have tied up one thread. I believe in the showbiz motto of never save it for the sequel, because you might not get to make the sequel. But boy, they sure saved everything for the sequel, didn't they, Phil?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
By the way, Kemi Egan appreciated my great White Sox reference. The beauty of Frank Thomas is that there's like 8 fan bases that I could have been shouting out right there. So I want to bring in Brody and Eric. Your thoughts on this episode, episode 9, which is called Crime and Punishment. And I think that is an accurate descriptor, Mr. Brody.
Are we not going to talk about Frank Thomas and his use of eugenics for his testosterone levels?
I don't know why I don't know why we would. His nickname was always the Big Hurt,
Yeah. Now it's the Soft Hurt. So
yeah.
As far as this episode goes, if you'd stop digressing with talking about Frank Thomas, I love the episode. I enjoyed it. I thought like you said, it almost felt like there should be one more episode. I felt like it was just like the only way I felt it would have been a real ending is if when he and Karen walk out of those doors at Josie's and there's those silhouettes in the bar. If one of them was Luke Cage, there should have been a defender there, or maybe someone with a cape that you couldn't make a whole. I feel like those contracts haven't been signed yet, so they didn't have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
But I would have liked in that final shot when he says, we have to put together an army. I would have liked to have seen the outline of Luke Cage, like maybe like you don't know who that muscular guy is, but I think that something there other than the Cherry, the retired cop, and the old bartender. I would have liked a couple of cops.
Well, there was also the Asian cop who told the leprechaun joke.
Right.
In my favorite episode.
Right.
Yes.
So they have 3 cops in the whole city, a retired cop and a bartender. Let's go to war. I felt like, and then when they got to Red Hook, I thought like they were going to bust in and rescue Frank. And what if Bullseye showed up and he also wants to kill Kingpin? So the two of them are both inadvertently helping Punisher. I was like, oh, that would have been a good ending.
Yeah.
No.
I did expect to see more from Bullseye instead of, I don't know, it looks like he was updating his AOL Instant Messenger away message. He was just at a desk. I'm not going to, I'm with Phil. I'm not going to complain about an episode that's light on BB Urick, but it was almost like, okay, yeah, there she is. And
at one point, I think in the finale too, not to interrupt, but there at one point, I think the BB Reports graphic literally just pops up out of nowhere, and then they don't even do the BB segment. It just goes to like the next scene, and they're at Red Hook or whatever. I swear to God, go back and watch it.
No, there was. They showed a newspaper or something like they were about to show it. Yeah, and they didn't.
They just forced that thing throughout the whole. It did not. If you removed it, like the people talking to the camera, they did not add any context throughout the whole season that we didn't pick up on, like just from watching people do stuff in the show, So
yeah, no, they're very much like the guy that they approach in every episode of every iteration of Law and Order. They finally find the guy who's like, oh yeah, he used to come in here all the time. Yeah, pretty nice guy. Weird thing was though that he had this tattoo on his knuckle that I remember. I could even sketch it for you. So yeah, but they didn't even bring that level of insight. It was almost like they needed to pad out the season because they're like, oh man, we're gonna have to give back the money if we don't sprinkle like 9 more minutes throughout these 9 episodes. Yeah,
you know what the problem was, Christian? They probably ran out of New Yorkers that wanted to be in front of a camera.
Well, now that that definitely speaks to something because usually New Yorkers are known for being so shy, reserved,
not having an opinion,
soft-spoken.
They're like, oh, let's do this every episode. And by episode 4, they're like, we can't find one person who wants to give their opinion into a camera in the streets of New York. What do we do?
We can go to Staten Island, but that's not New York. We know that.
No, because everybody agrees with Michael Gandolfini there. So
right. And Fisk, he pulls very high there.
Well, he does pull very highly there. So Eric, I wanted to get your thoughts on the finale.
First of all, I just want to share an old favorite of mine now, the Leprechaun Daredevil.
Well, hold on, keep it up. Yep, there he is. Yeah.
Wow.
I want to manufacture these somehow. I don't know if I own the rights to either the Daredevil or the Leprechaun side.
No, Warwick Davis keeps 100% of all proceeds on that. That's
or Hornswoggle in the remake.
Well, it was the only reason he signed on for Leprechaun in the Hood. He wanted full merchandise rights anyway. But oh, and I'm sorry. This was to the point that Brody made. I wanted to bring this in, Kemi. Again, I would have hoping for a Luke Cage silhouette. I mean, honestly, I would have. I'm in the minority, but I would have been fine for a glowing Iron Fist, and we could decide if it's Finn Jones or the actress who played Colleen Wing. And even I'll say that I'd rather it was Colleen Wing. All right, but as we dive in. We don't need any more show and tell photos yet.
What about Colleen Fist with a glowing wing?
Oh, there you go.
I'm not giving you a bell for that.
Damn it.
Eric, what are your thoughts on episode 9, which is called Crime and Punishment?
Brody, you lose. And
Brody has committed a crime, and I can't wait for the punishment.
He unbelled. This didn't feel like a season finale. This felt very much like what I feel like it is, a mid-season finale.
Right.
And that's it gets into how they label these things. We've talked about this before with Daredevil being called Daredevil Born Again, new series. Don't have to pay the writers the same amount because it's brand new. I feel like this was a great episode, by the way. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It didn't feel like a finale. It felt like a pause and a good ramp up to a second half of the season. We all know, like, originally this was going to be all 18 episodes and they split it. But I kind of at the end of it all felt like, okay, this is like, if they're saying we're going on a hiatus for 3-4 months and then we'll come back, then it'll be like, okay, that works. As a season finale, it definitely left something on the table. I thought it was, though, as a story, as an episode, the cinematography in this episode, which unfortunately the screen grabs don't always convey, was amazing. I mean, there's even that one image you just showed, Christian. It's actually the bullseye of the
that's
scope.
what I was going back to it, but
and that it's a little hard to see on the screen. Or I mean, right now, honestly, after wearing this mask for 5 minutes and these glasses, I can't see anything.
Gonna say.
Yeah, no, your eyes are about to police commissioner out of their sockets.
Oh my God. Which was always, by the way, allow me to say, and I did not send you that photo, by the way, Christian, you noticed that I didn't. And
Phil,
I grabbed it.
I'm just letting Phil know. We have a history of the most gruesome images from every episode of this show, starting with episode 1, where Foggy's laying in a pool of blood outside of Josie's. He always sends us, and a lot of times I'm like, I don't think I can show this on YouTube. But anyway, thank you for not showing that.
Restraint.
Restraint.
I heard Phil was going to be here, so I wanted to, up my game.
Thank you.
Isn't that funny? You can show it on the Disney Channel, but you can't show it on YouTube.
2025.
But I realized the crushed skull is a tried and true sort of top moment for like Friday the 13th, part 3. When Jason crushed a guy's skull and the eye popped out in terrible 3D. One of my favorite scenes in any movie ever, including like the King's speech. And
you mean when that guy got his head crushed in the King's speech? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it was the European cut. I have a copy of. I'll lend it to you. But here I found like I like how it surprised me. I never thought Vanessa would survive this long.
No.
And so to that end, I also didn't think Gandolfini would survive this long. So, but I kind of like that they've kept these people around. The commissioner wasn't too shocking, but how they did it, oh my God. Like, again, Disney, mad props to Disney for letting the R-rated flag fly.
Yeah, our pal Craig Robinson from across the pond said a few scenes had me shocked. And yes, even before that, I was already like, oh, wow, this is probably the most violent Disney Plus thing I've ever seen. And then we had that scene, and I'm like, okay, now it definitely is. And he
hands down
skull crush.
Much more so than the Mighty Ducks reboot.
It's the most head crushing, I think, since Kids in the Hall.
All right, that I like. All right, I like
I'm
that.
crushing your head.
And also, but even that Punisher scene, that set piece where it was all in the dark. And again, if I'm trying to capture a blind guy, I'm not turning off the power. Like, I feel like, didn't they see Wait Until Dark? Like, that gives the advantage to the blind. So cutting the power to me was not a smart choice. But that scene with the Punisher, there's a moment where he is shooting a guy repeatedly in the head.
Yeah.
Cameras below. And I was like, oh man, like, and again, it's like he's doing it once or twice. And then this shot here from below,
tremendous.
It's like one bullet hole, another. So they've really captured the spirit of this character beautifully, I think, in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've always been happy with this the John Bernthal iteration from when we first got to meet him. I loved the series. There is kind of an element to like, can anything stop this guy? So it was refreshing to actually see him stopped, to set up another season. Our friend Adam Hughesy, the H-Man Hughes, the message that I got from him was that he loved the finale. Apart from John Bernthal's SNL De Niro impression, growing like a bear every time he moves. And I see what he's saying, because it's like, he is always like trying to get bigger and scare a bear away, basically. But that was always, I mean, that's every version of, not every version, that's every appearance that he's made. By the end of each season, he's so beaten down. It's always like, yeah, but he's great.
Gotta stitch myself up, Red.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I know. And that's, I enjoyed those interactions. So we'll get to those too. But I was very happy. I feel like that. Well, first of all, I agree 100%. This is like, it's like an intermission, because it would feel better if this was like, all those series that are going to, okay, you're going to get season 6.0, and then here's how many months later you get season 6.5. They used to break them up mostly for like Emmy nominations. So the idea that it's a second season is like, it really feels like this season didn't end. And, let's fast forward 9 more episodes, and we'll see where we're at then. But they'll be setting up for how really crazy New York's going to be when it's revealed that Gandolfini is the Rose, and he's going to run New York because Vanessa's probably long dead, and Fisk somehow ends up in prison again. But so I thought that I think it was good that we started with like, let's go back basically like a year and see what happened. But when an episode ends as exciting as last week did, I would have liked for us to start like, seconds later. And that is usually not what you get. You usually see, it's the way Matt's going to understand it. He fell down, and then when he woke up, he's like, oh yeah, what happened? But
Karen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's only a little embarrassing. Oh yeah. He's under a lot of, it's the meds talk.
The meds, right? Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So Eric, you presented us with this image that we're sharing for our visual audience right now, which is Vanessa sitting down with Poindexter and basically giving him his freedom. And it was well established in the Netflix series just how out of his mind this guy is and how dangerous he is. But it's like, well, I need a chubby, although not as chubby as he used to be, Hell's Kitchen lawyer rubbed out. Let me let this guy out. You don't have like 9 other people that you could pay, a lot less money and just like, oh yeah, we'll make sure that Foggy Nelson dies. But what we're sort of starting with this episode. What were your thoughts, Brody, on the bit of the flashback to how the bullseye all came together?
Well, it was nice to see, like, oh, I wonder who did it or how it happened. It was nice to see the formulation of the plan, how she got him out, because the last we knew he was arrested in season 3. Yeah. He was had the back surgery, so that was nice. I did want to just notice when she hands him the magic marker, the brown magic marker to sign his name.
Yeah.
If you looked at the palm of his hand, it had brown dots all over it, as if they had filmed that scene numerous times and he kept getting ink on his hand and they didn't notice that. So
that's funny.
That's a good catch.
I like did that. Notice that. No, that is cool.
because later when he's signing the paper, the ink is gone.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that's a continuity problem. I found it interesting because it helped explain why he didn't kill her in the ballroom, why he was shooting for Fisk, because he was still mad about season 3 Fisk for killing his girlfriend, Julie, I think her name was. So he doesn't have animosity towards her because she saved him. She's like, this isn't about my husband and your anger about him. He's like, no, it's always about your husband. So I'm thinking in that scene, was Vanessa hoping to get a twofer? In other words, I don't think Vanessa would be that upset if Fisk gets a bullet because she just freed the man who wants to kill him.
Well, at the time that she's meeting with him, she doesn't really know where he is. She says she hasn't
but she was angry at him at that point. Remember, she was so mad she had an affair with him.
I see what you're saying. Yes,
you know what I mean. Like,
don't forget about Adam's hands. Yeah.
Right, so I'm running the city right now, and if this guy hates my husband, hey, whatever happens, happens.
It's like if he happens to track him down in a casino in Oklahoma or wherever that was in Echo. Where he stopped wearing the Hawaiian shirts, so I'll give him that. I think there's something to be said for that. What do you think, Phil, about Vanessa giving him a Monopoly get out of jail free card?
Vanessa.
Well, the problem is that I saw on social media that people were hyping like, oh, there's a flashback in this episode that explains everything, and so that to me it just like under delivered when I saw it, but I mean, I'm not knocking it at all. It was good to get the context. And I do agree with Brody's take there as well. Like, because at the time it seems as though like, because they're so distant and awkward, the Fisks are when they're in therapy and all of that, until they sort of like figure out how to get their gangster back or their swag back, if you will, both of them. Right. And then they sort of come back together. And so at that time, if we're thinking like at that time, yeah, if Bullseye's out, I mean, she doesn't care if he gets Wilson as well,
Right. Do you feel like that's the most likely plan for Vanessa, Eric?
Vanessa.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this moment shows Vanessa is fearless, right? I mean, like, yes, there is that element of, well, you kill my husband, so be it. Have fun. But the idea that she's like with this guy who was going to kill her not that long ago, and she does not look scared of him in the least. I think just speaks to what Vanessa had already become a year ago, much less what she is now. I love the detail with the marker, by the way, that it was like soft. It was a soft marker. It was like a magic marker.
Oh yeah, no ballpoint pen. For
yeah, they made a point, and also
it's again, a great point.
Close up of hands.
Though? Look in that shot. Can you pull up that shot again? I don't know if what I'm going to mention is in that shot of them sitting at the table.
Yeah, I don't know that it is, but I can certainly bring up what Eric sent to us. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, and the sign behind him.
On the
what
table,
makes you happy.
Yeah, but on the table to the right, I thought there was a baseball. Was there not a baseball? I thought in that shot there was a baseball.
Right. Well, whether there's a baseball or not, he probably can't get to it too easily.
No, but he killed a guy with a baseball. Remember, he killed his coach with a baseball.
Sure.
He killed a guy with his teeth or whatever. I love that.
Plenty of weapons in there.
Right. Yeah. I love that scene, by the way, not to jump back or whatever, but I forget what episode it was where Bullseye, he cracks a smile, literally. Hey-oh, ba-doom-ps, right? And he's got two teeth and spits him in the dude's forehead. That was awesome. That was, to me, I was like, yes,
That was great. Yeah, I agree. No, 100%.
To your point, Phil, it is kind of like they almost have to give Bullseye a cell like they gave Magneto in X-Men, where everything's like plastic. Everything is sort of Magneto proof because it's like, as we're talking about this, there's so many things in there he could use as a weapon, much less like just a chair. So I'm surprised he's just not in a room with like beanbags and nothing else, because as he showed, I mean, the fact that he could use his own teeth as a weapon means everything's fair game.
I would like to see just what Bullseye would be able to accomplish with a beanbag, because there are so many beans in a beanbag. So I do feel like he could bite it open and, really, really do some damage is what I'm getting at. But I think that, it is kind of one of the more disappointing things about the season is that it kind of ends with like, oh, don't worry, we have got Bullseye looming around in the background, but you are waiting for that. You are not going to get it, but I don't know. I think that it would have been great to have seen him. There were a lot of references to things from past seasons of the Netflix show. But we'll get to that in a second because our friend Nate Miller is here and I don't want to keep him waiting. Nate, thank you for being here today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
And Phil is a first-timer here. Phil, that's Nate. And Phil is protecting his secret identity because of all the things he's seen Wilson Fisk do. Right. He doesn't want anyone to know where he is.
I am, in fact, Daredevil, just so you
know. Well, we already have a Daredevil on the screen. So, boy,
I'm the fake. No, I'm the Timu one. I'm the fake one.
Oh, yeah.
Phil's meeting with the New York State governor tomorrow morning, first thing. So,
yeah. There were a lot of references to the Netflix series, and I think you're talking about reminding us that he had that Fisk had killed Bullseye's girlfriend, and they even took the time to name check the character Ray Nadeem, who got killed in there, and it gave me an excuse to show this image when we had Ray Nadeem in studio, the actor who played him, Jay Ali, with my pal Zia and I over there at AfterBuzz, and we were watching them in the way that they like you to have not seen. So we had no idea his character had died when we talked to him because we were reviewing the previous episode. And he's like, "Oh, really? You haven't seen it yet?" And we're like, "No." He's like, okay. He was a great guy, very nice. And I hadn't thought about that until then. I was like, hey, that was a little weird. So I think I learned something from that. Is that I should probably just watch the whole series. But Nate, now that you're joining us here, what specifically talking about the finale for a moment, what were your overall thoughts for what we've gotten here in episode 9, Crime and Punishment?
I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was really good. I think kind of like what we saw with the last episode and the first episode, you can kind of once again clearly see a difference in the creative team from the before show to the what we finally got. I think if I didn't already know like the back end of what happened and that season 2 was like already in production with this new creative team, that I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much.
Sure.
Knowing that it was leading into something made me feel like okay with it being very cliffhangery and not like super like lots of resolutions. But that aside, I thought like the action scenes were great. It went further than I thought they were willing to go, for sure. Like I was like, this is Disney Plus. I'm watching this on Disney Plus. That's crazy. It was great. The cameo was good. I think Vincent D'Onofrio like has consistently given us great performances, but is really like being given the time to create. Like I've never seen the Kingpin kind of shown this way. I feel like every Kingpin story that I can imagine, like he's just already the Kingpin. Like when you're introduced to him, he just is. And so kind to get to see him evolve throughout the course of like the Netflix show to now, I think specifically within this show, him choosing to be in the white suit in the end and kind of showing like he's done with being the facade of like, oh yeah, I'm the mayor now, and not instead he's just Mayor Kingpin, like was very cool. Like it makes me very excited for the next season. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I think that there is a lot to be happy about. And, when he showed up last week in the white suit, we all knew like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. And to really get, sort of, I would say comic book accurate, but that's too far reaching. It's like a comic book accurate Kingpin, but from those stories like Daredevil Born Again. It's not the sort of the more cartoony, not that Spider-Man never dealt with like the bad Kingpin, but he usually seemed a little bit more cartoony at those times.
Christian,
So,
I was just with this one
yes, sir.
picture.
Please.
He's had this shirt on for a while.
Yeah.
Like this is quite a bit later, and I love that he's just sitting there at home, doesn't think to change his shirt, just kind of is like, yeah, it's comfortable, it's nicely worn in now. But and I was thinking about, is there a reason behind that? Like almost like, was he enjoying having the blood of Daredevil on him?
I mean, what do you think?
Well, I mean, that seems like a kink. It feels Kingpin-ish that he'd be into that stuff.
Maybe it's his tribute to Muse, because Muse looked like that also.
Right. I'm sorry. Are you trying to suggest that Wilson Fisk is the Kingpin? That's terrible, I know, but this is what you've gotten yourself into, Phil.
Run while you can, Phil.
Yeah. But by the way, Nate's favorite part of the show is all the bells. So just bringing Phil up to speed. Nate, I want to make sure he knows. There's a lot of, I kind of want to deal with some of the side characters, because Daniel, I will get to some of your comments. Daniel's said some great stuff that I want to react to. Let's talk about Heather for a moment. Also, I don't really care one way or another about Heather. It's possible she's placed with Fisk as part of a larger plan, but most likely she'll just be collateral damage. No, I think she'd had enough with Matt even before Fisk whispered in her ear, "Why do you think he knows so much about Daredevil?" Well, I don't know. I guess he was just a fan. Oh my God, it makes sense. But he's a blind guy. So the fact that she's going to be a part of the administration, I don't think is part of a bigger plan, but that would be a nice reveal. What do we think about that specific move, Nate? This idea that Fisk is trying to surround himself with yes people, and I guess he feels like Heather is one of them.
Well, I was pleasantly surprised at how viscerally the show has been willing to attack some of these themes, and being able to watch him pull these different levers to like consolidate power and allow his task force basically freedom to do whatever they want. Was like terrifying. It was very like really high level villain stuff. Like
Yeah.
and him also too, like I just want to say him being like, yes, Matt saved my life, but you know what's more useful than like a superhero is a dead martyr. Like
Yeah.
that was crazy. There was no like complex like, oh, what do I think of this feeling? He was like, oh, he's in the hospital,
Yeah.
kill him.
I've got a great opportunity for that. I agree. I did like that moment. I'm glad you brought that up. That was something that was very interesting. Let me bring in. Go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
go ahead. I just want to say, I think like consolidating from the season of him having these interactions with like, you know, Mini Gandolfini and the press and then culminating, I thought they did a good job of taking those what seem like just, you know, character moments throughout the show and making them all lead toward this point at the end where he's, you know, killing the police chief and promoting Gandolfini and, you know, pushing Sheila back and like positioning all of his pieces now that we've seen in play to where he is like fully in control.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that does tie into the comment I wanted to bring in from Kame Egan. One prediction I have for season 2 is Gandolfini is going to kill Sheila to cement his allegiance to Fisk. You want to talk about being surprised that Vanessa made it out of season 1. I did not think Sheila was making it out of this episode, but she knew the way to make it out of the episode, make it out of that room was, well, he said all this stuff, which actually I believe in. But I know that for my life, what I'm going to have to do is turn that over. What did you think about to put it in a parlance that you might be able to relate to, Phil? The heel turn from Sheila.
Yeah, it was good. It was impactful, and I didn't think she was going to make it out of this season.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny because you were talking about how a lot of people did make it out of this season before, but they took out White Tiger. They took out Muse as well. So some characters that, I mean, the ultimate boss battle I thought was going to all be like Muse or Bullseye, or maybe a combination of both, or, you know, them two against Punisher and Daredevil or whatever. But yeah, they killed off a couple like prominent characters that were established like quickly within the show, within this season rather. And so yeah, a lot of people made it out. So I didn't think she would survive either. But yeah, she was crying about it. She was distraught. She didn't like what she had to do. But I mean, hey, you got to survive. And yeah, it's a police state. It's some or it's like what is it, like a sanctuary city or whatever, right? I mean, what did they call it, right? It's a
martial law.
Yeah, it's martial law, and she realizes
North Korea
like,
in New York. So they got
I have to do this wrong thing in order to survive. And you know, I found that interesting. Eric, you seem to have some thoughts on sort of, you know, what Nate's talking about and what we're talking about here, sort of the machinations, the 3D level chessboard that Wilson Fisk is playing a game on.
And I think to your point, Phil, like all his underlings have to play that same game to survive.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, one of the runners of this season thematically was like, in essence, all his minions are kind of eating each other to keep going. And yeah, her response, that moment where she's like bawling because she knows she basically signed the police chief or commissioner's like death warrant.
Yeah,
I thought that was amazing, actually. And so she's someone, yes, she did a heel turn, but they're also setting up she might do a face turn next season, because like she is moral. She isn't like Gandolfini, who clearly makes these choices without a second thought. Because I'm not sure he can have a second thought at the same time.
I was waiting for that.
With all due peace and love. But
peace and love. Yes.
Peace and love. Peace and love. But I that's one thing I think's been great about this. And it's so timely, it hurts. Like more than once I'm watching this, I'm like, oh yeah, God, this is not escapism in the least. This is just taking what's going on and just putting Vincent D'Onofrio in the middle of it.
I can't follow that at all. Actually, I don't know what you're trying to allude to. None of that makes sense.
If it's not about the Mets, you don't read it.
No, I do tend to just I read the back page of the newspaper.
The funnies.
Homegrown.
I read the sports section, and I want to know what
Snuffy Smith.
I want to know what Ziggy's up to.
I'm
Brody,
Canadian, so I don't got it.
Take us, Phil, please.
Yes, and by the way, for Phil's countrymen, we will be putting out a version of this episode where everything's been translated into French by AI, so that we make sure that we. Yeah, exactly. So, Brody, we're talking about all of the people who Fisk is surrounding himself with, but somebody we knew he was on the outs with from the beginning of the season is, of course, the police commissioner. And we've sort of referenced it in passing, but that's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And I've seen some crazy stuff on TV, but your thoughts on as it's going. I'm just like, well, okay, I think he's going to kill him. And I think we know how. And I still wasn't prepared for the way it happened, Brody.
I'm surprised they showed as much as they did. It had a very Walking Dead vibe to it, in terms of the head getting crushed, like they did on The Walking Dead. I thought they were putting him in a firing squad. I thought they brought him there,
right, and
then Fisk would just be like, he's the guy who didn't support you. I mean, once they walked him into the Dexter room, with the tarp up, I was like, oh, he's a dead man. Because if you notice that when he murdered someone on Echo, there was tarp up, and when he murdered, when he murders people, he puts the plastic up. I didn't expect him to do it himself, considering he's wearing white, but he clearly likes to get blood on his white outfit. He's the kind of guy
blood goes with everything.
He's the kind of guy who would go to an Italian restaurant wearing white, which you never do. This poor idiot had to go to Sheila 5 minutes after he told Sheila, Fisk told Sheila, let me know who's not loyal to me. Yeah. And then she walks in the hall, and this guy's like, hey, can I be not loyal to him for a second? Come here. I want to talk to you. Like, of all the people, he's got to, let me give you the plan. I'm going to go to the governor. If he had just gone to the governor, this whole show doesn't happen.
Why are you going tomorrow? Why are you going tomorrow, by the way?
Yeah, why couldn't you FaceTime her? Hey, this is important. Get on a call, get on Zoom, get on, whatever. You can't get on Skype anymore, but get on something and talk to her. You got to drive to Albany? That seemed a bit much.
I mean, who wants to drive to Albany in the middle of the night? I mean, the rest stop in New Paltz isn't even open, so what's he going to do? Plus you can't get a Carvel in the middle of the night. So what's the point? Shout out the actor who played Commissioner Gallo, Michael Gaston. I guess we should shout him out because we won't be seeing him again ever.
No one commissions like Gaston.
All right. I wanted to hate that, but you know what? I couldn't. Eric, we've alluded to it. We've danced around it. What were you thinking as you were watching that? Because I was sitting in my living room and I was like, oh shit.
Well, hopefully the kids were like out of earshot.
No, we were watching it together as a family.
Listen, this is how you learn about anatomy. This is how a body works and what body meat looks like. The one shot, so he's crushing his head. Obviously now, Brody, thank you. I do have Kids in the Hall in my head for the rest of the day. Another Canadian export, as wonderful like Phil is. And basically that one shot where they showed the results, because I thought, I mean, what was so impressive about that, by the way, I mean, Vincent D'Onofrio's performance here, like he truly looks like he's crushing some dude's head. And I love how public it is. That it's basically, hey guys, hey kids, gather around. I got something to show you. And he's doing it. It keeps cutting to everyone. And then that one cutaway of his jaws like off. I was like, oh my God, like they went there fully and committed in a way that I didn't read the Daredevil comic book quite as much as a couple of you guys, but I don't know if they would show that in a panel.
Not if they wanted to be approved by the Comics Code Authority.
Right.
But when it was like Marvel Knights, what was it?
Yeah.
It was Max, right? Yeah, I was trying to.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, Nate knows that era a little bit, where they're like, we can really push the envelope because we put
the boys
M on
comic
our
book,
code.
right? The boys comic book, not
or
a problem.
Invincible, things like
Right.
that. Sure, exactly.
But yeah, that Marvel, not so much.
No,
And
that's very surprising. I agree.
and talk about like setting up a villain fully. Ironically, since Phil's a wrestling fan, I know Undertaker has a protege who that's her finishing move is like the head crush or whatever. I just saw a clip of that.
Yeah,
so
Bailey
maybe
Humphreys, I think her name is. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe this is 2025, the year of the head crush.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I think
me too.
we have nothing left to prove. Once you do that, it's like, all right, I don't even need a weapon to kill someone. I don't even need a punch or use a door. I can just smush and bye-bye. And in front of all you guys. So guess what? No one else in this room is going to dare betray me, which
not anymore.
As Kingpin as Kingpin can get.
Not after 2 months of your commitment to not just those glasses, but also that mask that is like, 3 sizes too small for your head.
For any head.
For any head. The fact, yeah. So it's like, oh no, Eric can fly off the handle at any moment. We got to keep an eye on him. I'm not sure. Nate, I wanted to get your thoughts. Sort of, we're talking about the way that this show pushes the envelope, and it was brought up by Brody. If I walk into a room and it's covered in plastic, I might try to not walk into the room. I'd at least give it my all to try and run out of it.
Yeah, I think I think the commissioner has enough sense to know that when he got in the car and his driver was not there and was replaced by the guy with the Punisher tattoo, that it was over for him. He was going to his death. So I think he knew there's no getting out of it. This is just what it is. And as far as like Fisk doing it himself, I didn't necessarily expect that, but it does make a lot of sense because it's very personal. Like this commissioner has actively pursued Kingpin as he's been a criminal, underlord, like for years. Like he actively despises him and has, moved against him. If there's anybody who knows exactly the things that like he's capable of and what he's done, it's going to be this guy. And so it makes sense that he gets pissed in the scene, but like it makes sense that he wants to like personally send a message, but also personally be like, yeah, you're insignificant to me. I'm going to squash you like a bug to show everyone how large and in charge I have gotten. It's very interesting. And like even there's cool commentary in this show that they're actually like, they're poetically weaving in this kind of police corruption narrative and how these systems that we have set up can be manipulated and how people in power can manipulate those loopholes and stresses and panics and stuff to kind of like achieve their own ends and stuff. But also it's poetic because this falls right in line with this parallel we've been getting between Matt and Fisk. And on Matt's end, he's trying to do things the right way, trying to stave off the darkness of like enacting his own justice, trying to trust in the system, right, and like defend people and do good. And Fisk we see do like entirely the opposite. And now we've seen him gone so far as to warp the things that we consider like the legal, correct justice ways to enact his own means of doing evil and doing bad stuff. And now Matt is confronted with this idea of like, I want to do things the right way, but I can see like the system, the flaws in the system are on the outside. It's not just on the inside. It's so apparent that I know I can't operate within that. So I'm going to have to operate without that. So it's a really great setup for like really leaning into this like vigilante thing beyond just like the cops being like, yeah, that's illegal, don't do that. But also sometimes you help us, to this straight up, almost like a Civil War-esque storyline of like, the law is absolutely against superheroes, as well as the law is overtly harming innocent people and just like doing whatever they want.
Right. No, I agree with sort of the way that we're looking at all of that, and it'll only go further as Fisk goes further. Phil, I want to kind of get your thoughts on that moment, but also putting into here, we saw last week that as much as BB Urich is not the high point of the show, it did seem like she got enough time to talk to the police commissioner. So even though his head isn't doing much anymore, it seems like she got some of the information out of his head. I'm just guessing that we will actually see the commissioner again because she probably had plenty of time to film an interview with him. But your thoughts on sort of what could happen with what he knew and just watching that scene play out in this episode, Phil?
Well, like the squishing your head scene.
Yep, that's the
Yeah,
one.
I mean, it was amazing. It was almost like a head ripoff too. If you really think about it, it was like a half squishing, but the bottom half kind of like he ripped it off. You know, you ever see that movie? Joyride?
The movie Joyride. Let me interject. Anybody that's kept a pumpkin on the front step for too long, and then you finally go to take it out and put it in the trash, and the whole thing falls apart. That's basically the police commissioner's head. But your episode, your reference, I haven't seen Joyride. So
well, it's just like this trucker gets mad, he like rips a guy's jaw off. I don't know, it kind of reminded me of that for like a split
sounds
second.
Like it,
but
yeah.
yeah, but the thing with BB is that, well, here's the thing, right? They had at one point in the finale as well, they were like no open press or whatever, and they took that guy who was taking pictures and they boiled his hand in the deep fryer. But then BB's running around, and isn't she open press or like, I guess she's not on the job, or like, I guess Castle trusts her or whatever. So
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I
don't know.
So she's already done propaganda for
Fez,
his like regime, so that's why
that's true.
She's allowed to be there because they're assuming that she's continuing. She's playing she's trying to do the both sides thing. She got forced into it basically because she got threatened, and now she's saying, I'm gonna play ball so that while they're not looking at me, I can actually try to investigate and hopefully release something.
And that's great. That's great. And that's a great point. And then also you have Sheila, who's sort of in the middle, and it's like, do we have I believe that's her name, right? I didn't mess that up.
That is Sheila.
Yeah, Sheila.
Thank you. And so she was distraught as well about stooging out the commissioner there. So we're gonna see some people, and then BB's gonna keep trying to flip Danny as well, which isn't going to work, I don't think. But
he doesn't look like he flips easy. But the point is, and Daniel's talking about this in the chat, Daniel Drew, but Daniel believes that he's got her under his thumb, and the only reason that we know that she's not going along with it is that interaction with the police commissioner. She's like, yeah, no, I know he killed my uncle, obviously, why do you think I'm so invested in this story? So she could actually be far more valuable next season. Phil, before we let you go, I wanted to get your thoughts on the character who we had seen earlier this season, but we didn't really get to see him be the best there is at what he does, even though he's not Wolverine. We did get some full-fledged Frank Castle in this episode, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that, Phil.
It was awesome, Red. No, they gave us the mandatory, he's going to stitch himself up scene, or someone's going to stitch him up. They gave us that. They gave us the mandatory Punishers tied to a chair, getting his face punched in. Him calling people clowns and idiots and everything. We got all of that. So it was awesome. It was ultra violent as well. The fight scene was great too. And, Murdoch's like, or Daredevil's like, Castle, Frank, stop. And then he's just like, no. And he's just like killing everybody. I don't know. It popped me. That was awesome. The fight scene I thought was really great. And again, do we talk about the post or mid credit scene right now?
We can talk about it now because of the fact that I know, Katie will be jumping on soon, and we'll let you tag out.
Well, I was just gonna,
go ahead, talk about it.
I was just gonna say he, speaking of tag out, Frank tagged himself out of that cage pretty quick. He tricked what was the guy's name? Andrew or whatever his name?
Anthony Petruccio.
Yeah. There you go, Anthony Petruccio, and he just got a hold of his hand and a handshake, snapped it. I don't know, you guys will cover it in a bit, but it seems like he's gonna get out, and I hope he takes the swordsman with him.
Yes, take the swordsman.
Yeah, and they'll be added to the Defenders or whoever comes back for that.
I don't know the timeline, but it has been announced that Disney Plus will sort of have like a Punisher movie, I think not a miniseries. So I think that's the next time we'll see him. It'll be before season 2 of Daredevil. So he got out just in time to And I wish we would get more of those. Eric and I have talked repeatedly about Werewolf by Night and how we do a film screening of that, a theater screening of that. And I think that this would be great. I am ready for more Punisher. And when I wear the shirt like this, it's Frank that I'm thinking of, not all those douchebags that were there who also had the shirt. Makes it really hard to wear the shirt on the show because you're like, whose side am I on? Well, Phil, we have enjoyed getting your thoughts on Daredevil Born Again, and we look forward to having you back on to talk about, we got a lot of movies coming out this year, and there'll be more Marvel TV. So we appreciate you taking the time. Let everybody know where they can find you and some of the other things that you do.
Listen, if you like listening to stuff, to like movie talk, YouTube drama, pop culture, you check me out over on youtube.com/@PhilMarksOut. I'm mostly known for hosting like a comedy wrestling talk show variety. Sometimes there's interviews and guests and stuff. So that's called PWT, or Pro Wrestle Times live show and podcast. And so youtube.com/@ProWrestleTimes or @ProWrestleClips. That's where you guys can find me. The pleasure was all mine. Thank you so much for having me. And hey, I'll come back anytime if you have me.
Well, no, and it helps that we usually try to do 3 or 4 episodes every time there's a new Marvel movie, and we'll have one in less than a month. And I'm sure that Husey will drag us into whether or not another director stinks. And my verdict on M. Night Shyamalan was absolutely 100% he stinks, but that's just me. No,
that was just all of us, I think.
Yeah, it was actually every single one of us. Yeah.
You never saw Lady in the Water, obviously.
Oh,
Lady in the Lake.
It came up. Don't worry. All the movies came up. There were like 8 that I didn't watch, and I'm like, I told Husey I wasn't going to watch them, but I did watch The Happening for whatever that's worth. Well, Phil, thank you again for your time. We look forward to seeing you again soon. And have a great day after watching a man get his head crushed last night.
I will. I'm about to do the same this weekend, WrestleMania. Peace and love, guys. Hydrate. See you all next time.
All right. See you soon.
Be good.
Thanks to Phil. I wanted to make sure that because it was sort of the one thing we hadn't talked about with him yet. I wanted to bring Frank into the conversation, and obviously Katie will be with us shortly. She's actually recording something else for Geekscape right now. Katie was double booked, believe it or not, but I want to talk about Frank, and tying into the fact that we get Frank before we get to him was something that I do want to start with you, Brody, because I feel like this was a moment that you probably were excited to see, and that was the fact that we got Karen Page back in this episode, Brody.
I made a note. Make sure you talk about how you yelled when she got out of the car on my phone. I couldn't, when he said somebody called me and told me to see, to keep an eye on you. For some reason, I was thinking Rosario Dawson, Night Nurse. I was like, oh, maybe it was her. It didn't occur to me that they'd bring Karen back in the episode. But I remember this is one of the episodes they filmed after the new talent came in, that they would bring her back. I didn't even think about it. And then when that car pulled up, I'm like, who could that be? And when it's Karen, I'm like, I yelled. I was very excited.
When that car pulled up, I'm like, well, Luke Cage isn't going to fit in that car, so it's not him.
Right.
That was my thought. But and I think it was good to get her back and see sort of the gang back together, investigating, trying to figure it out. And I think that and Matt refers to it. I think that Karen's interactions with Frank is specifically when she showed up in the Punisher series. I'm glad that was acknowledged, the way their heartbeats changed, that stuff. I thought that was all great because it was like, let's not just have her. Yeah, she's here to help Daredevil. Look, I think that probably not a lot of people have Frank Castle's number. I don't actually remember what happened to Microchip on that show, if he's alive or dead, but it would be like him and Karen. It'd be like the only people who could get in touch with him when he's below ground. But I was excited to see her. Eric, your thoughts on getting Ms. Page back?
You realize not only how good she is, but what she brings out in the actors around her. Like her scenes with Matt are terrific. And it's, kind of expository kind of moments, going through boxes, which is never, the most exciting part of this show. But and apologize for this screen grab. It's not her best look. But
she does look surprised, so that was
good. It's like, what? But the second she came back, love how they filmed it. It was a great moment, and really just like you could almost hear a collective applause from people like us.
I could actually
try not to wake up our kids.
Yeah, I could actually hear Brody yelling from New Jersey.
You absolutely could. Yeah,
but that's almost any night you can hear that. Let's be honest. Why'd you send him away? He did nothing wrong.
You don't have to comment on everything that happens. He asked me. He needs to step off. All right, he needs to go take a break for a second.
I thought I thought you punished him again.
All right, Nate. Now the show's good.
That was a punishment.
Power's driven him mad. She's terrific, and you realize too, no one filled that void.
Yeah,
like none of those supporting characters they had filled the void of her or Foggy. And
I agree.
And again, we talked about this idea is he's on his own. He's lost. He doesn't have his team. But even just in terms of having foils, having sounding board characters, reflexive characters, how important that is to writing. And so I think Karen was always so terrific for that. And so, her coming back, it could have happened sooner, but they kind of had to put his relationship on ice.
I think he came back at the perfect time. By the way, Eric, you put this in the chat that your head is getting numb. Do you want to take your Daredevil cowl off? You don't have to keep wearing it.
I don't give up. I'm a man without fear or sense.
All right.
It's really Red Guardian at this point. It really is.
No, that's why Dave, when I first put this on, I'm like, well, I guess I got my Halloween costume set.
And also, you're going to have to wear that when we talk about Thunderbolts. So now
I know.
You've really done it to yourself.
I might have to go to the tailor and get it taken out a little bit, or else I might not live to see 51.
Just take some scissors and take it out a little bit in the back. Nate, I wanted to get your thoughts on getting Karen back. It's at least giving us a little bit of the feel of the earlier series.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense. It's the perfect way to get the excuse to get Frank there. There's some potential for them to explore this triangle that is there because Karen obviously has some type of feelings for Frank. We saw from the Punisher show as well as from the Daredevil show. They have a connection.
Yeah.
But Frank also he's got feelings, but he's stuck in his war and he can't really move on. That's kind of the whole core thesis of his character. And then you have Matt, who now I think we all probably can agree that relationship with Heather is probably over. I don't really see it surviving what's happened in this season. Right. So now, introducing Karen, I don't think she's going to stick around, but it does still add some of this level. I mean, maybe she does decide to move back. I don't know. It opens a door, but it is a good cameo, good way to get Frank in to be the reason why he's there, as well as helping to find the information from the Foggy case and kind of tie all of this stuff together to find out about the Freeport and all that stuff. So I thought it was great. I really enjoyed the Netflix show. I'm glad that they were smart enough to kind of go back and bring more of that through to this show, because I think it really helps connect the two, and bring a lot of the building that was already the work that was already done and let them continue to build on top of that. So yeah, it was great cameo. I hope that she has at least some involvement in the second season. I don't know if they want to bring her character back fully, or just another cameo kind of thing or something.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Daniel Drew said this: their chemistry together is just so good. And I was going to say thank you, and then I realized he's not talking about us. He's talking about Matt and Karen, and also Karen and Frank. So, but that's all right. And by the way, in terms of the cowl that Eric's wearing, the Cinemark Thunderbolts popcorn box has Red Guardian's cowl, though I don't know that it would be more comfortable. I don't know. We do have to make a plan for Thunderbolts, Eric. And
the inside of this is feeling very buttery right now, for what it's worth. Visual.
No, that is definitely something of a visual. So yeah, obviously we we do have Frank kind of do the usual Frank thing. Like, what? I did the thing I said I would help you, and I'm out of this. And then he goes and he helps out, and not to his benefit, really. It's to his detriment that he tried to help out.
One of my very few complaints of this episode is this whole Frank thing, and I understand that they kind of set this up as a way to kind of feed into this special presentation that we're getting via the end credit scene. But just immediately, it's just like, you spent all this time giving us this like accurate, deadly. I'm watching this fight scene with the two of them, and I'm thinking, this is so cool. You're seeing Daredevil do the superhero thing. He's doing martial arts. He's throwing his baton. It's like really cool cinematic stuff. And they cut to Frank, and it's like he's in a completely different show in a war zone. Like, this is not John Wick. He's not like, bam, bam, move on, bam, bam. No, he's like, down, stab the guy, shoot him in the head 4 times, guttural yell, ah! And seeing the two of them, I was like, that's so cool, because like in Frank's mind, he's in a war, perpetually in a war, and they portrayed that so well. And before he comes in, he's like, yeah, those guys are there, they're coming up, like he knows. And then you're going to tell me that he just walks into a trap with all these cops? Like, even if his plan was to get captured, even if we're just assuming that, like, these dirty cops are dumb and, like, I'm not going to say anything else. Like, why would that guy shake his hand? Why would that guy touch his hand? You're the Punisher. He knows who he is. Like, come on. There's a lot.
You killed a lot of my friends, but it's okay. It's okay. We're good. We're good. We're totally good.
You want to talk?
So
go ahead.
cool.
Well, just hang it. You want to talk about people who should be in Hannibal Lecter cages? Frank Castle is one of them, and the term Punisher and Warzone kept coming up. So I wanted to bring at least one image of the fact that there were multiple series called Punisher Warzone and Punisher War Journal and all that sort of stuff. Yes. I do want to make sure that we discuss the police officer at the end. Brody, we were texting about that. I was hoping for Katie to be here before we got to that, but that Matt Kelly is keeping her very busy right now.
Matt Kelly.
So stay tuned for the episode of Christian Cringe. They'll be talking about Christian colleges sometime soon on the Geekscape channel. But there was definitely that point. And I know, Eric, don't worry. I didn't forget that you sent me some great stuff to deal with our friend who is there on the job. Is it Petrucci? Is that his name? Anthony Petruccio. Yeah. And
Jersey.
Yeah. Well, that's the point that I was making with Brody. Your point was that any of the cops from Brooklyn wouldn't have been this stupid. But I was like, well, don't you think that that's why they made the point that he's from Jersey?
I still think an Italian cop from Jersey. Like, I understand if he's the rookie. Like, if you paint this guy as the rookie, like bright-faced 20-year-old right out of the academy, like, hey, Mr. Punisher, it's an honor to meet you. This is a guy who's on the task force because he doesn't play by the rules, because he's a ruthless killer.
Okay.
Is this AI?
What is it? Yeah. So
for our off the screen,
did you make Petruccio out of AI, Eric?
The AI made it itself. The AI was watching with me and is like, "Oh, I've got to give you a treat." And the fact that he has 2 badges.
There are enough pictures of thumbs online you couldn't find.
Couldn't you find a picture of that actor? Okay.
I had another Petruccio that I think is much more comic book accurate.
What, the guy from Dream Theater? Is that who it was? Or no, I know you have. So you have this one here.
I'm scared.
That's Petrucci.
No, I know, Brody.
Now we're adding T's. I love it.
AI has a hard time with spelling.
Yeah, but that's the whole reason why AI sucks, and I'm glad that.
But that's why Petruccio. But Petruccio would as well. I think Petruccio, he's my new banker. I want to see him show up in a lot of things. He's only going to have 1.5 hand.
No, he's incapable of showing up in anything ever again.
He's definitely going to switch careers after this. That's for sure.
He might be a banker after this.
Elizabeth, New Jersey's finest officer.
To Brody's point, I'm going to assume that scene doesn't happen the day after we see Fisk and Vanessa walk past the cage that Frank is in and all the other people who have been caged up. I'm going to assume that Frank watched all these guys and then he realized, well, this is the idiot. This is the one who might be dumb enough to shake my hand. And, obviously you don't want this. You have one scene to tell this, so you can't sprinkle it in. And it's like, yeah, just want to shake your hand. And yes, of course, we all know what's going to happen there.
Yeah. Now, is this the cop who was assigned to cleaning the poop out of the cells? Like, if they're in there and they're trapped there indefinitely, somebody's feeding them and cleaning up. So is this the cleanup cop? Right? One of them's got to be the low guy in the totem pole who cleans up the cages. Because I'm assuming the Punisher drops a couple of bullets off at the pool.
I don't know if they've gotten that far procedurally. It seems like this is like a new situation.
I mean, Christian said this is not just when Kingpin walked by to have dinner. So
look, I think they're all probably pretty bound up from what the Kingpin's feeding them. So nobody's had to drop a deuce for a while.
Well, it's Passover, so probably matzah, which will bind you right up.
I don't think it is actually, and I'm pretty sure that Frank doesn't keep kosher. Daniel Drew, we love Daniel Drew's comments, but this might be my favorite one ever. Daniel Drew says the banker signed that cop up for a timeshare before he died. And his family's still going to be paying off that timeshare. Thank you, Daniel. Look, I think that scene is great because, again, I didn't know that I could be shocked again after the police commissioner. And I think we all knew what he was going to do. But it was sort of it's the sounds. It's the, oh, wow, he really, and it's the only way to do it because he's Frank Castle. He's got to get out of there. What did you think, Nate, when we see that moment for young Anthony Petruccio just trying to come by and be like, oh, hey, how's it going, Frank? Yeah, and
I think it's a cool setup for this special presentation that we're getting. I think it definitely signals as to what we might be getting, like if they're willing to do this on the Daredevil show, on the Punisher one-off seems like might be a Tarantino movie. Like, so it was brutal. It was very aligned. I knew he was, as soon as I saw the after credit scene, I was like, okay, he's going to escape. But like,
of course.
I don't know. I'm torn because it was cool and he plays that character so well. But also it's just like, why did you get captured? Why did you? And it would be different if it read to me more of like, if he had like a tool or he had like some type of trick or something that he like, because he planned to get captured so he could go in from the inside or something. Okay, sure, I'm buying in. But you're telling me he not only just got captured, oopsie, I got surrounded by a bunch of cops, and then also the cop that was there who saw him in the cage double chinned up with the tiny box, who like was like, yeah, verbally said for the audience, like, I know who you are.
Yeah.
And then goes to put his hand in a danger zone. I don't know. It's really hard.
Wouldn't there be a sign up there like don't feed the Punisher?
Don't feed the Punisher.
Punisher. Ladastro asked the question. So if Frank doesn't kill him, like in that moment, if he lets him go and he just steals his keys, which I think he's dead, but how long does he have to live? Yeah, I don't think that. I don't even think Fisk will know about it. I think he'll already be dead. The rest of the task force will take him out. Daniel has the theory, I guess, just like he wanted to kill as many people as possible for fun and then break out. No, I think he just knew he needed to kill one. He does. I think he does maybe enjoy the blood sport, as they call it. But I don't think that this was just to get the kill count up for a little bit more. But what did you... Go ahead, Brody.
If he didn't want to be captured, if he wanted to get out of there, I understand he wants to be a tough guy, but he's in the chair and he's zip tied to the chair. And they say, we want to serve with you. We worship you. We want to serve with you. All he has to say is, I would be an honor to lead you men. They untie him and then he kills them all.
Yeah.
Why? I know you want to be tough guy. You're like, I wouldn't serve with you guys. I'm in a war. You're going to get punched in the face a lot, and then they may kill you. In a normal circumstance, this isn't like the 60s Batman show. I'm going to put you in this pendulum, and the pendulum's going to lower itself down and eventually you. No, just you know he's Punisher. Don't put him in a cage.
And then we hear the music, and we go, "What's this? Frank Castle tied to a chair? What could happen?" Tune in, same bat time, same bat channel. Or I guess it's Castle time, or
and we didn't get anything that was like, okay, here's a reason why they didn't just kill him. These cops that have been like, we saw them shoot that one kid and then pull his beanie down to be like, oh, he's a mass vigilante. It's okay. But Frank Castle, who they know what he's capable of, and they just watched him kill like 8 cops in front of them while they're like, use non-lethals. And I'm like, that's an awful idea.
And they're still negotiating with him
in front of him. Like,
right.
And he just, and they're like, actually, we'll just lock him up and hold him forever
until he changes his mind.
Like, what is like, there's no, just a little bit of like, even if just a little scene of Fisk being like on the phone with the task force guy being like, we got him, we're going to put him down. And Fisk being like, no, keep him. I have other plans, or something. Like anything that gives us a reason why, because it's you're right. It's another thing of like, why would they even put him in there for Anthony to put his hand in there to get his arm broken?
Unless it was marketing, unless they keep him there. And I mean, because then I would understand. It's like he captures them to make a point. He also could kill him to make a point and put his head on a spike kind of thing in front of in front of Times Square, just to remind people, behave yourself.
It makes it more frustrating, because you're exactly right, because it was right there in front of them. They just had to have Fisk say no, like, or even just the cops. This whole, they didn't. I'm wondering if there was more of this that was part of the original show, or if this was part of like the rewrites of the whole like cops with their own Punisher skulls thing and their like little culty group thing. Because if you think about it, now that they're having this task force, they can't have Frank, if he's not with them, they can't have Frank out there also wearing the skull and like doing what he wants to do, because that kind of goes against, and they can't like capture Frank and be like, look, we caught a vigilante, our task force is doing good, because their cops are modeled after what he's doing, and he's not a mass vigilante. Everyone knows who he is. So it kind of, there is a narrative pocket there where they could say like, we need to hold on, we need to kind of squirrel him away while we continue to operate, but they just didn't really expand on it.
They killed that one random kind of kid and put a mask on him, like, so clearly they're not above like killing someone to make a point, to send out a message. So no, it doesn't. Listen, on one hand, great scene, great moment, great Bernthal moment. The fact is, Bernthal is in like 1,000 movies coming out. Like he's been at this a long time, but he's so having a moment now as a performer, and you can see why. This guy's earned it. He's fantastic. It makes little to no sense at best.
Well, that he's still alive.
That he's still alive. That this schmuck would Petruccio. Now, on the flip side, the idea of a Petruccio spinoff, I'm here for. I want to see the Police Academy version of Kingpin with him as
Truch. Truch, life on the streets.
Every episode he dies during the opening credits.
Oh my God, like they killed Petruccio.
Naked Petruccio. So I mean, it was a great moment. It doesn't make sense in the big picture.
Right.
As a small picture, it's fantastic. I also think it could have been as simple as the guy walked a little too close to the cage, and that's all it takes. You want to say Frank's an animal? Well, yeah, he is. But also, Frank. That's how Frank would get out of that thing. Is he would sort of find a way to get himself close enough, be unassuming, act like he's asleep, something, and then the guy gets just 1 inch too close. That's all it takes. And it would have made more sense dramatically, but again, great moment. If you look at it on its own, fantastic.
So I'll sort of poke a hole in what you said. dramatically, what we got was great. What you're talking about is logically. It would
Logic,
make more
right.
sense.
Viscerally great, logically not so great.
And you've put an idea in Kama Egan's head. I want a Police Squad reboot with Frank Drebin Jr. and Frank Castle, because there's nothing funnier than the Punisher, and he'd fit right in. With
I'll call you Shirley if I want to call you Shirley.
Right.
Yeah. So we've we're setting up the Punisher one-off, and Chris Tuttle's making the point of Citizen on Patrol, which is Police Academy 4, if we're fantasizing a Police Academy version. So go ahead,
Christian,
Eric. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm so sorry. One last thing. I think the Punisher movie, if, again, it's going to be a special presentation along the lines of Werewolf at Night, which I assume everyone who's watching this or listening to this has seen that. If not, you really should. It was great.
It was great.
Little gem, if you will. But I think they could do a really kick-ass story of literally just Frank trying to get out of New York. Like, kind of go with Warriors, Escape from New York, even Judge Dredd or The Raid. Like something that's really in some ways self-contained. And it's just a visceral story of survival. I think that would be an awesome movie and a really clean way to do it based off of what we just saw. It's like literally him just getting out of Dodge. And I think that could be a cool film. It wouldn't screw up the MCU at all. It'd just be its own little sort of almost like a spec episode, so to speak, but a really cool standalone idea that is exactly what we would love out of the Punisher. Is just him doing what he does, surviving, killing, hurting, and grunting.
Yeah, he can't kill Powell though. That's the only problem. Powell's got to die in the Daredevil season 2, so he can't kill any of the known people.
Yeah, which I think.
But if everyone's trying to get him, and it's just him trying to get out.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. Yeah.
There's going to be no shortage of people for him to kill. Well, that's sort of what I wanted to shift towards, is what we think we might see in season 2. And I would expect, regardless of the events of that Punisher one-off that we're going to get, I think that we will see Frank again in season 2 at some point. And we're getting some side information that we might see a lot of Karen Page. But somebody who we have seen not nearly enough of today is our friend Katie Hampton, who is with us now. And who knew you could talk about Christian colleges for so long, Katie?
Listen, it's an easy topic to get off on. Oh my gosh.
And yet those are places where it's really hard to get off.
Nailed it. It's very true. A lot of repression.
Not so much for some.
And yeah, so look how Eric put his hat back on. But
it's so small.
But Eric, we've realized that's going to also be his Red Guardian hat for when we talk.
Yeah, he's Red Guardian with the beard.
So Eric, for the thumbnail, you have to put on the glasses too, or we'll have to do a whole photo shoot.
Oh, buddy, don't.
So Katie, we have spent more than an hour looking back on the season, mostly the finale, and we'll wind down talking about the season as a whole. But I wanted to get your thoughts, Katie, on this episode, which is called Crime and Punishment, episode 9 of Daredevil Born Again. Katie.
Well, hey there, Frank Castle. Nice and clean cut for our good friend Karen Page. That was pretty. Yeah, nice.
He heard their heartbeats. He sure did.
Oh man.
Which, boy, if only there was a great song called Heartbeat they could have played in the background, Eric.
Listen,
it's playing in the background of every day of my life.
That's fair.
Don Johnson's music fills my soul. Sorry, Katie, continue.
No, that's a fun fact for me that I thank you for the bell on that one. That was great. I enjoyed this episode. I feel like it kind of fell in with the I didn't realize this is where we were going with this season. I don't know how much of that y'all have already talked about.
That's right. Don't worry about it. Yeah. It's just your thoughts. We don't mind circling back to anything that's on your mind, Katie.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. The disjointedness of a lot of this, it felt like it kind of culminated in this episode where I was like, oh, was this what they were originally trying to head towards, or what their midpoint of the original season was going to be? Because it feels like a midpoint moment. And I'm like, oh, that's why we're going to get the second season of this fairly soonish. Because I think they still have other stuff. I also love the fact that I totally fell for people like posting photos of Frank and Matt Murdock together and saying, oh, look, this is them on set together for season 2. And it was like, oh no, that was just like the season finale. And I didn't realize it. So cool. But I love that Frank is in this a lot more. What a great ad. I think is one of the best interpretations that we've had of the Punisher.
I'll go so far as no other interpretation of the Punisher comes close. Most of the interpretations of the Punisher are terrible. Thomas Jane, you could make the case. Dolph Lundgren was still playing his character from Rocky IV. They just hadn't told him that you needed to, try and act differently. And he also played his character. He also played Ivan Drago in the Masters of the Universe movie. You kind of get one note out of him. And, then the Punisher movies have not been kind to us. And this is when you make something and the people involved understand the character, you are able to cast an actor like John Bernthal who really brings that to it. Something that Daniel said much earlier was that, yes, he's sorting variant covers from months ago, but also the finale really makes you look forward to season 2. It is like a factory reset for the show, like the Netflix Daredevil. But like Daniel, I was hoping for Jessica and/or Luke, and apparently I'm the only one who was hoping for Danny Rand, but that's all right. We'll move on.
Am I the only one hoping for Madison? Like, I was real bummed we didn't get us. I mean, we got a tease of Madison, and then it turned out to be not Madison at all.
Right. I'm okay with us not getting Madison. But
I'm not.
I'm with you, Katie. Madison will live as long as we allow her in our hearts.
Agreed. We could have gotten Wongers in there too. Anyway,
I do have an MCU question though. Speaking of Madison and Luke Cage and all, this is a street level show, but turning the power off on New York and having them go, crazy, crime and shutting down martial law. That seems like an Avengers level event to me.
Well, there are no Avengers right now.
No, there are no Avengers, but the Thunderbolts are in the, like somebody should have shown up. Spider-Man, I know he can't be in the show, but Spider-Man would have shown up. If Marshall, and all the skyline shots, Avengers Tower wasn't in the skyline shots. They're not quite MCU yet.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up because I had seen that this is exactly what happened in 2021. Wilson Fisk is the mayor of New York. He did indeed shut down the power, and there are multiple Bullseye clones wreaking havoc on the city. So the character you see there is actually Elektra. Don't ask too many questions. But she's also, so she and Matt are there in the dark. But as we stressed earlier, Katie, you turn the lights out for Daredevil, it's not going to be a problem.
Not a problem. No.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to give much of it. In fact, quite the opposite gives the advantage to Daredevil. Like they know they're trying to get him. Maybe you wait until you turn the lights back on to help you.
I don't know if they turned the lights off to get Daredevil. No, they did it. They did it for the purge, the vibe.
Right.
No,
the city to go crazy.
No. Because he wanted to. It's simple. He wanted to declare martial law. So
right.
Yeah. I mean,
the power's out. He didn't want. He wanted to close the bridges and the tunnels, and they said you can't do that. Oh, our friend from Con Edison is here. Okay, now I can close the bridges and the tunnels.
Right. The guy from Con Ed who has he has the button. He knows where the button is.
You want to talk about
helmet,
people who deserve their own spin-offs.
That
Con Ed employee
like that. Daniel Drew also saying, I hope we get some anti-vigilante connection to Spider-Man in his movie next year if it stays street level. Even though Spidey can't be in the MCU shows and Kingpin can't be in the MCU movies. That is something that I've heard. Vincent D'Onofrio has been asked about it because of the rights. He actually can't be in the movies. But I also feel like Spider-Man initially wasn't going to be able to be in Avengers movies. So you can figure it out if you want to, but it all does come down to money. So, but I agree with you, Daniel. I do like, the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man would have swung into this situation if this were a comic book. I agree with you, Brody. I just feel like, this guy is the mayor. So he's able to really, he's got more power than, say, a mayor like Mayor McCheese. I feel like he can get a lot more done. If Wilson Fisk was the mayor of McDonaldland, the Hamburglar would be alive for 4 seconds. This guy just runs around McDonaldland stealing cheeseburgers. Do you think he's going to stand for that? And Katie, I know that's why you're glad you finally were able to catch up with us so that I could put the idea in your head of Wilson Fisk taking over McDonaldland.
I want that spotlight.
Yeah. And we'll find out that Grimace isn't bulletproof. What were some of the other thoughts you had? We've sort of been stressing this episode for a season that has pushed a few envelopes. I mean, they pushed a ton of envelopes way over the edge in this episode, Katie.
Well, I just think that I don't want to go to Wilson Fisk for chiropractor reasons. Just putting that out there, because that was y'all got a text probably like at 10:30 or so last night after I got out of my show. It went and directly watched Daredevil as soon as I got out, and boy, that face. Ooh, that pushed an envelope I was not expecting, and especially because I don't know how they did that effect. But my God, it was like we were with that actor the entire time. I don't know how they did that, but that was really cool and really gross, and I wanted to throw up. But that was amazing. And I was like, okay, now we're finally getting into the violence that like the comic books are really why this needed to be like the Punisher and Daredevil, why we need these like really brass tacks, get into the weeds, down and dirty fighters.
Yeah, no, I think that, getting to see that, getting to see Matt and Frank together again, and yes, Matt, Frank, and Karen, but specifically, we were talking about sort of the fight scenes and just how great it was to have the two of them back together again, as they say. And, I mean, that's some of my favorite television, ever, is when Frank was first introduced in season 2 of Daredevil. And just getting to see them again is always great. And I think that was a big high point. As we continue talking about the season on a whole, though, Katie, I want to know what your overall thoughts were from the season, and if you have a favorite. Now, Phil, who's not here anymore, we had him on for about an hour. He agreed with me that episode 5 was his favorite. So right now, he's my favorite person on today's episode. So I'm just putting that pressure on everyone to see what episode they say they like the most. But what are your thoughts on the season as a whole, and what was some standout moments for you, Katie?
I will say that it was oddly disjointed from week to week. I feel like the overarching story was kind of there, but it was kind of messily cobbled together. But I really loved a lot of episodes and a lot of moments in this. I'm very excited for season 2 because I feel like maybe we'll kind of even out into an actual through line story that doesn't ping pong off of different guest stars or different vigilantes that like we think we're going to have the full season about, and then it shifts to a different person. We've had so many great guest stars on this show that I'm excited to see if any of those people return. I'm excited to see where BB North goes. I really am. I'm not that excited about Gandolfini, but he's kind of settling into his mobby role, I guess. Yeah. He's filling some big shoes, it seems like. But I'm curious about the story overall. I feel like this was such an odd reboot, but I'm still excited. Like I still enjoyed it. It just like there was such an uneven distribution of these episodes of what was happening plot wise, and then what the through line ended up being. I never thought. Okay, here are the 2 notes that I think I sent in an email to you guys, but I'll just say them here. My big thing was as soon as I logged into Disney Plus, seeing Frank and Matt Murdock standing side by side, I was like, well, spoilers, my God. I guess he cleaned up. Like, what? So I was a little bummed about that. And then the mid-credit scene at the very end of this episode had a skip credits button which felt like such a down and dirty thing for Disney to do, because the reason why a lot of us stay for the credits and actually watch those names pop up and have respect for the people who worked tirelessly on these episodes, to have a skip credits button just to get to the mid-credit scene blew my mind and pissed me off with Disney. I was like, what are you guys doing?
Well, at least it was their way to let the ADHD crowd know that there will be a mid-credit scene. And I know that we probably don't need to backtrack, but this comment from Kame Egan where I was comparing this show to McDonaldland, Gandolfoni is a fry guy.
Yeah.
He is definitely he is definitely no, that's the Hamburglar. There's the fry guys. There's a group.
No, the fry guys all say rob, 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 rob.
No, that's the Hamburglar.
Are you sure?
Yes. Yeah. You're thinking of the aliens from Sesame Street who talk to the phone. Yeah.
That's
but
the Yip Yips.
yeah,
That's the Yip Yips. Yeah.
Phenomena.
Or also known as the Mackie Sassers. That's just for Brody and Eric. But there's been
the Yips.
All right, I know. See, we're trying.
Steve Sachs also.
That's right. So, I agree with the fundamental point that this is not a perfect season, but I do think that they did a good job building. And I think we all talked, what was that? That was episode 7 where we felt like it slid back a little bit. Yeah. In general, I think that the arc of the season worked really well. And I was very happy with the end result being setting up what I hope is a great second season. And that's what we said when we were starting. When we did our first episode, recapping episodes 1 and 2, we wanted to know, like, all right, well, ask me at the end of the season. I would have liked resolving something at the end of this season, but I understand there's a lot to set up, and we'll see. Take their time to make season 2. I understand they're in production now, at least allegedly. But don't rush it, because that's not what any of us need.
No.
And in general, I'm very happy with it. I think that the Netflix series was superior in a way that it's sort of unfair to carry it on. The fact that we got any kind of continuation of it is something that I think a lot of us were never expecting when it was so abruptly pulled out from under us. Nate, I did want to get your thoughts on the season as a whole, and feel free to throw in any low points, but if you have any high points that you'd like to make in here.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall as a whole, it's okay. I'd give this season maybe like a 7.5, 8 if I'm feeling generous. I think it's enjoyable if you've seen the Netflix Daredevil show. If you're invested in the character, there's a lot of great performances. I think if you do any investigating into like the behind the scenes of how it was made, it's very obvious that it becomes very obvious very quickly that it was kind of hobbled together from one thing and then made into this thing that we got instead. I think my favorite episodes are the first one and the last 2. I do think the bank episode is a very solid episode, but I think in terms of the moments of where I was really enjoying the show, what I think has the best action sequences, also some of the best dialogue and framing, and like moments where I thought to myself, like, this really feels like a comic book come to life. I think those episodes really nailed the kind of theme that I'm looking for. So I'm really excited for this next season. I think this serves as a really good, I've seen people like kind of describe it as kind of like a reset.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of functions in that way for sure. And I would really hope that we can get more. I'm hoping that like with the transformation we've seen in the Kingpin in this season and the more like acrobatic elements of like Matt's fighting and the swinging, that we're going to get more of the comic bookiness to this next season and like the direction that they take with the show for her, however long they go with it. So I think with that, it would be great to see the other Defenders and Moon Knight and like other street level heroes. Brody said earlier that like this is like an Avengers level threat, and I actually disagree. I think this is precisely the kind of thing that is not an Avengers level threat. This is a specific city that has a power outage and some minor petty crime. This is a Defenders level threat, maybe. Like this is definitely a team type thing, but there's no cosmic powers, there's no big superpowered entities. Like this is all just mass crime on a very large scale and violence on a large scale. But this is definitely something that hero box that can't really fit into the Avengers stuff. This is where they get to sit very nicely. Like I do want to see Daredevil interact with the Avengers in some point and interact in some point with these characters, but like in my mind I'm not like, yeah, I want to see Daredevil go up against Doom in Secret Wars or something. Like that's not what that character is for. That would be out of his realm. So it's really cool that they're building up this kind of larger crisis that is still on a ground level, and I'm hoping that that's going to lead us in season 2 to having another Punisher cameo, like having Matt as a character interact with these other vigilantes, these other superhero elements, and giving us more of this kind of like comic book feel that I think they've done a really good job at delivering on, while still keeping that comic book feel grounded and not jumping straight to like the cosmic superpower space stuff that we've seen the MCU very quickly just like ramp right up to. So I think overall, I think it's a great season. I'd recommend it to people that like Daredevil. I think it's better than what we would have got if they didn't do a rewrite, for sure. And I'm just kind of like, I don't know, I can't really complain too much because this is exactly what I've been asking for them, is to do, when they do these spin-offs, instead of trying to make them all generic MCU-ish fit in the box, let them be what they need to be. And that's what they did. They let us see the Kingpin squish a guy's face in his jaw, kind of like dangle, to drive this kind of real world weight, violent story that they want to tell. And that doesn't have to be for everybody. Some people will not watch this. Some people will watch it and be like, that's too much. I'm not into this. And I think that's fine. That's a good thing that they're making choices in big swings that some people will enjoy and some people won't enjoy. And I think they need to do more of that. More like Agatha, put that witch stuff in the witch box, let people do the magic space. Here you have the gritty real world crime violence stuff. Like that to me is where they're really going to, in this next phase of Marvel, be successful. Of if they're going to do all these spinoffs, which we know they're going to do, just be like comics and give the writers the freedom to be like, tell the story you want to tell, instead of trying to fit everyone into these nice, neat little boxes.
Right. Ladastro sort of brings home what Nate's saying. They resolved that the first iteration was going to be a bomb, and they corrected that. And look, that's kind of, in a lot of ways, Marvel, and by that I mean Marvel Studios, gets a bad rap for, hiring and firing directors and changing visions and things, but clearly they do have a sense for, this is what we think is going to work. And what was turned in for Daredevil Born Again was like, no, Kevin Feige very specifically felt that it wasn't going to work. So yes, when you have Disney footing the bill, you can have a little bit of some latitude to changing it. They understood, we're going to make it as good as we can. We cannot reshoot 9 episodes. I know they weren't done yet, but we're going to do what we can to make sure that these are really good. And then we're going to hit the ground for season 2 and make them great. And I do think that's important. There's times where when I hear that a movie is going to miss a release date because not because that they realize it's going to be Craven. And it's like, yeah, we are a year out from that movie and we know we're not going to make it. So now we're going to have to take some more time. Great. Especially when it comes to CGI. For putting effects in, take as much time as you want. There's no movie that I need to see so soon that I want the CGI to be rushed. So I agree, Nate. I think that they took as much time as they could. They gave us what I think was a very good first season. And it goes right back to what I said on our first episode. All right, now show me the next 9, and we'll see where we're at the end of those 18. But I feel very good about where this has taken us so far. Eric, Conner, your thoughts on season 1, highs, lows, and I'm sorry that there was no Madison in this series for you.
We're all sorry, and the lows is the amount of blood flow in my brain right now. This mask.
I have given you so many opportunities to take that stupid
I
thing
know,
off.
but then
we've been begging Matt to put the mask on, and we're begging you to take it off.
We're really trying to get you to take it off. Yeah.
It hurts in so many different ways. This season was great, and again, as mentioned, I kind of went through my Daredevil binge, which again, my 8-minute takedown of all 3 seasons from the original, still out there in Geekscape land, waiting for your eyeballs and your hearts and your ears. And I can't feel my head. But
is it true you did a reshoot on the first minute of that 8-minute breakdown and the 7th and 8th minutes of the breakdown?
I did a reshoot of every 7th second.
Well, interestingly enough, Eric was actually killed in the first 7 seconds originally, and then they realized that fans would have been upset.
And like
by the way, Eric,
a little bit of weight too.
Just a quick thought. The least effective way for you to send me stuff while we're actually on is for you to text it to me. So
I was trying to text myself.
You can text me that you sent me an email, but and then there's the private chat. But I know how much you want to talk about Madison, and I actually forgot what she looked like, and it just
with a Y.
But it's not what you think. Two N's. Yeah.
It would be amazing if they actually did bring her back at some point.
Oh, at some point
they have to.
She'll show up in something.
3% of us would appreciate it. Yeah,
I watched Patty do this character in Groundlings like ages and ages ago, and like she is hysterical. We need way more Patty Guggenheim in this world.
All right, so this will be maybe an original Geekscape production if we can get the rights to the character. Likely,
it shouldn't be easy. That hard. But anyway, so your thoughts on the season as a whole, though? Okay, I'm sorry. No, Dana has a great question. I wonder what her last name is. Wisconsin. Let's move on.
Goldberg. Just so I can hope. Just so I have a chance. So I think they course corrected, right? Yes. As you're saying. And I think sorry to jump over to a different franchise, but Rogue One was apparently not going to be that great. And what they do, they brought in Gilroy, rewrote the ending, reshot the ending. And it was arguably one of the best Star Wars properties since I guess it's whatever relaunch with Kathleen Kennedy at the helm.
Since the Ewok TV movies, yes.
Yeah, right. I mean, but listen, you can only fight for second place after those pieces of perfection. But here, I think they course corrected smartly. You can feel it sometimes, but it gives me hope that TV wise, they're figuring some things out. Agatha, I thought, was really quite good. This I thought was even better, more consistent. And we've had Captain America's the Brave New World did not do it for me. And I admittedly did fall asleep there for 20 minutes. There was a beginning of a fight with a Red Hulk I remember seeing, and then he's hanging out in the hospital, and I'm not sure how we got from A to B, but I have a feeling even awake wouldn't have solve my issues.
I know you're reminding me that I don't think I want to go and see Thunderbolts with you and Liam McEnany, so the two of you can nap while I watch the movie. So.
We'll cuddle. We'll cuddle together while we're napping.
There was no cuddling when we saw the movie we saw the other day that I can't think of the name of.
Jason Statham.
The Jason Statham. I still can't think of the name of the movie though. I know Jason Statham was in
that one. I stayed awake for every second of it.
Working Man.
Thank you. Working Man.
Working title.
Just we'll get back on target in a second. But Brody, you'd love this. The guy in front of us hated the three of us so much. We weren't talking. We were just laughing so hard at this movie.
Liam was talking a little bit.
All right. Well, you and I weren't talking.
No, we were behaved.
I forgot that. Anyway. All right. So yes. So cinematically, so far you were left wanting, but hopefully Thunderbolts and FF make it up to you. But
TV they're in good shape right now. I mean, this on the heels of Agatha. Now we're gonna have some rough waters ahead of us. I'm looking at you, Marvel Zombies. I'm not.
By the way, I'm not looking at Marvel Zombies.
No,
you guys want to do that show without me?
No, we can.
That'd be amazing. All bells, all the time.
Oh no!
You
just made sure that Nate won't be on it.
I know what I said. So. I love my Nate. He knows I love him. Oh shoot! That was an accidental. I didn't mean to hit it as hard as I did.
She said. All right, stop. We got to focus on this.
Yes, damn it. They really did so much good here. He is Charlie Cox also.
Yes.
I mean, you could say one of the top 3-4 performances in the entire MCU film and TV. It's hard to sort of find ones that have so fully made a character their own, made it work for comic book fans, made it work for TV fans, made it work for just fans of great performances, acting. He really does get this. And so I think I'm excited about seeing Karen back because what she does for him is terrific. And then also his chemistry with the Punisher, with John Bernthal, is terrific too. And so they're putting the pieces in place in the right place. Now, that end scene, it also reminded me, none of the new characters really made much of an impact compared to the OG.
What about Heather?
Mm-hmm.
How we feeling about Heather, everybody?
Visually,
Heather,
sure.
Sure. Yeah. Heather needs to find a client list of people that aren't killers.
Hey, Heather was right though.
About
what?
Oh yeah, they're all nuts.
About the Daredevil rage perpetuating a cycle of violence.
She's not. Listen, Nick, not a bad therapist. I'd go to her. Obviously, I got my own issues with this mask.
But opportunities to tell the truth. But anyways,
but she's true. But none of them really hold a candle then to the ones we've already met, like Vanessa and obviously Kingpin and Foggy and Karen. So that's one thing. Like the group that they get together at the end. And it's like, oh, we're a city without fear. And you look around like, oh, yeah, it's the doctor from Manchester by the Sea, who tells dirty jokes. She was cool, I guess, but none of them really got me as excited about when Karen came back, of course. So I do hope next season they do find some new blood to get into the mix that is at least on the level of what they were. Yeah, right. That at least make us relate and care to them in the ways, because none of those people there do we really know nor care about. So hopefully they can additionally course correct there. Give us more of an ensemble. Show us what that city without fear looks like, featuring some maybe new people we haven't met yet that hopefully would be part of the stable.
That's what I was going to say. And remember, the Netflix series introduced the character of Typhoid Mary. There are other characters we haven't seen. There are Daredevil specific characters that have never been shown on screen. So there is a lot more we can get. Look, I know it would be tricky to bring any of the Defenders back, much less all of them, but there's other things you can do in this moment. And I think it would be good. Daniel asks an important question. Thank you for finally taking that thing off.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Daniel's wondering, are we going to see Matt showing up in Spider-Man next year? And by the way, Kame, nope. Well, we'll put that up. Best Jason Statham film, The Bank Job.
I agree.
And yes, I did see this. That this happened. This happened while we're on the air.
Oh,
so when we finish, we'll let everybody go who wants to, but we'll watch it. We can't watch it with the sound. So anybody who doesn't want to watch it with the sound can leave. But we will take a look at it and see what's going on. But I guess this is the IMAX trailer, and we have this new poster that goes with it. So
I feel like I've seen like 8 trailers for this movie already.
I know. I'm like, how different is it going to be? But so Brody, I want to kind of get your thoughts on the season as a whole. High points, low points, in between points.
All right. Well, let me give you 2 in between points that I neglected to do earlier. Number 1, in the beginning, in the opening credits, there's a police shield that shatters as part of everything breaking.
Okay.
And the number on the shield is 1964. And I was like, oh, what? It's got to mean something.
The first appearance of Daredevil, isn't it?
First appearance of Daredevil. Yes, very good. And then when Karen got out of the car, I don't know if you paid attention or noticed it, they played the theme of the Daredevil season 1 when she got out of the car.
That's what it was.
I did not catch that. So that's a great job by you, Brody. Good job. Nice work there.
Thank you. As far as this season, except for the one episode we all agreed was terrible, 6 or 7, right? We just didn't.
Yeah, so we didn't love 7. Yeah.
7 was a train wreck. I would say that the shortfall for me was Muse went by too fast. I think he's a great villain. I'm wondering if they bring him back after Secret Wars in a variant that has the powers he does in the comics. I think that would be a way to bring him back in a year or 2 in Secret Wars. Other than that, I'm sad about Foggy. I'll never get over that. I don't know how they're bringing him back for next season. If they Electra him back to life, or again they multiverse him back, I don't know. I think he's needed. I think the interaction with Karen, where she just gets to his core as a human being, and she talks to him and she kisses him on the forehead, and it was like, oh, that's what's missing from his life. That person who gets him, who understands all of that goes on behind his eyes, as she pointed out. As a season, to Nate's point, you could see that it had moments. It was up and down, and it was put together, and it was as good as it could be. So yeah, it wasn't Netflix Daredevil, but it wasn't Secret Invasion, right? It wasn't Falcon and Winter Soldier. It was better than mostly everything else on Disney. It was really good. And I think if we don't compare it to the Netflix show on its own, you're like, wow, what a great show. What a gritty show. Yeah, there was a vibe change when Punisher came back and he's blowing people away, and and Matt fighting as Daredevil with the CGI that they have, and the baton flying and the whips and the hooks and
Cool.
I mean, tremendous. The choreography and the camera panning and the one shots was tremendous. The courtroom scenes were fine, but then there was a period of time where we didn't have courtroom and we didn't have Daredevil, so that was a little low point. Overall, to Nate's point, I give it an 8.5 out of 10. I feel like it was very good and I enjoyed it. Now, the ending felt like it wasn't an ending, and I feel like it would have been a good ending in June if the show was coming back in September. Like old school TV shows, like, oh, they got stuck at the airport. Let's see what happens at the airport in September. We just have to wait the summer. The fact that we're waiting a full year for this to continue with a little Punisher blip in the middle, it's too long for the kind of ending that we got. So
I mean, these days a year is short turnaround.
Yeah.
Right.
Was it 3 years between seasons of Severance, which I still haven't?
Severance. It's like Def Leppard albums. If Def Leppard puts out an album in 2 years, you're like, oh, it didn't take 5. So yeah, it's only a year, but it's still a year.
What a topical and current day reference.
What's a Def Leppard?
It took so many years between Pyromania.
It's called a hearing impaired leopard.
No, hold on. It took so many years between Pyromania and Hysteria because their drummer lost his fucking arm. It takes a minute.
Who are you mad at? Who are you mad at here?
With one arm.
It's been 40 years.
Then it took
you're mad at someone.
The albums took too long in between.
Don't make me put this back on.
Don't
do it.
No one makes albums anymore.
The first thing I said was Severance. I said that immediately, that a year is short compared to what Severance did.
To the point, to the point,
yes.
Though, that if it takes them 2 years because they need to take time to make it better, I'll understand.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
And Daniel referenced something. There's some number shown in episode 1 that is an issue where Foggy faked his death. I think Foggy's dead.
We did talk about that.
And he's interested in, he has hopes for this Cole North character because of his comic book story arc. I don't even know what that is. So,
Grenade?
Grenade
goes off in the apartment?
We'll have to see what it is.
I mean, we didn't see him die, so.
And Kame Egan, this is really unkind that she's implying that Def Leppard drummer Rick Allen went to go shake Frank Castle's hand, and then he got pulled into. That's a terrible thing. But Kame Egan, that's one of my favorite things you've ever said. Yes.
Are we saying that Rick Allen is actually Anthony Petruchio?
Petruchio!
From Jersey.
Wait, Katie, I don't know if you saw my fabulous posters. I already have a spinoff in the works. For
it's
Petruchio.
AI. Nate told you.
Not AI. Not AI. I made it all myself.
It's got
AI.
Petruchio with like 4 T's and a silent Q.
That's what his name was when his family moved to America from Sicily. I have a whole backstory.
It changed at Ellis Island.
Yeah, you think I was born a Connor? I mean, Connor.
Can we get Anthony Petruchio in the premiere episode of The Fog or whatever that? What's your show?
Oh,
Fog.
Fog. Okay, that welcome my next. Although I did have a Photoshop specifically for Brody, Christian. I don't know if you want to share it or not.
Did you email it to me or did you text it to me?
There might have been a text.
Yeah, then
I can bring it up on my screen.
Look at that face. Look at that face. Maybe he's thinking, maybe I shouldn't shake the Punisher's hand. I don't know. Nah, fuck it. I'll shake his hand.
Yeah, like what could go wrong if I shake the Punisher's hand? It seems I'll tell my grandma. You'll never guess whose hand that I shook while I had the Punisher. Oh, that one. Yeah, that one. All right, wait. Hold on. There's a lot going on. All right. So Eric, you want to explain this to Brody, and then we'll. So
How come
Anora,
I'm just seeing this now? Why do I get the feeling you've had this
no,
for a while?
he sent this to me earlier, but he texted it to me, so I couldn't show it to you because I forgot.
I'm not sure I like the top of the picture.
The point was that you said that in Anora, everybody looked like the girls you went to school with. So here's
everybody sounded like it.
Yeah. So here's one of the girls you went to school with. All right. And that's going to be great for our audio audience, but that's
an audio audience. Just send me $2 to my Vimeo, and we're all set.
And you know what? I'm sorry.
I've been Venmo, Vimeo.
Tammy Egan, you're 100%. You did deserve that. There was a lot going on. All right. So we're mostly excited for season 2. I think we're all excited for season 2.
Yes.
We're happy enough with season 1. Don't let us down, Marvel Studios. I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to hit the door who wants to before we take a look at the 8th Thunderbolts trailer. Nate, I've got you in at almost at about 89 minutes, and I promised you 90. So it's fine if you want to run. You can hang out and watch Thunderbolts with us. But
I actually, for some strange reason, have this sliver of hope that this movie is going to be good.
Okay.
So I'm going to try to avoid the self-sabotage of them over-marketing this movie before it comes out to give the entire movie away and remove myself from
we appreciate
trailer viewing watching party.
Nate, are you planning on seeing Thunderbolts? Because then we'll tease you being on one of our multiple episodes of it.
I do think I will. I do think we're going to see it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that'll be great. And in the interim, let people know where they can find you, Nate.
You can find me everywhere that you find people at Dog Like Nate.
And that is where I tend to find most of my people. So we appreciate that. Well, thank you, Nate. Glad you were able to hang out extra for our extra long episode. And I'm going to let Nate leave before the bell goes off. Bye, Nate. See? You can still hear it, though. He's backstage. So
good to see you, Nate.
You didn't get away in time.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
All right. Well, we appreciate that. Anyway, always great to see Nate, and fun to have Phil on this episode. Glad that Katie's here. We sent the invites out to some other friends, but not everybody's schedule worked out. But we have already talked for 2 hours about Daredevil Born Again season 1, and a surprisingly large amount of McDonaldland talk. I'm not going to lie. I did not expect to get as in depth on that. And I had Def Leppard talk at 0%, and yet there we were. So that's why people have to watch and listen to the show. It's worth subscribing if you get the audio version. Make sure we will have some fun stuff coming up in the weeks ahead, and then we will be hitting it hard with Thunderbolts. Does anybody need to go? Because I'll let you get your plugs out of the way. Eric, do you need those? Eric, do you need those paddles like when your heart stops? No, don't put it back on. Stop it.
It's on top of the hat. It's okay. I'm okay. I feel nothing. Right. No, I do have to roll, but lovely seeing you people. Fun hanging out with you and the Devil and Jersey and New York. Yeah. And Connor, go find me.
And you'll be back when we do Geekscape Book Club about Creature Commandos. So
right. Looking forward to that.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. All right. Thank you. And Katie, looks like you need to go because you've been podcasting for very long. And I think you might have talked to Matt Kelly longer than you did to us. So that means you like Matt Kelly more than us.
Matt Kelly.
Although it wasn't just the two of you. So
it was not just the two of us. It was also my former professor, which you can catch that episode coming up soon on the Christian Cringe podcast. Subscribe to that. It's very fun. We talk about a lot of things around the Christian community and either deconstructing or promoting. So it's I know a lot of my family is pretty sure that I am instigating Satanism or something, but we're not. We're really just talking about Christian culture and some of the ridiculousness of it. So it's a very fun podcast. I highly recommend it to anybody who's either of the faith or leaving the faith.
Listen to it with your family over Easter dinner. I think that's the time to enjoy Christian Cringe. Well, thank you, Katie. And you can be found at El Sassy Pants. Napping through happy hour. You will be with us talking about Thunderbolts at some point.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Katie. Glad you were able to be with us. And Brody, I can't let you leave now. I said everybody can leave, but then
I got to go. I'm doing a Jewish Cringe podcast. I got to go.
I think that's the season 1 of Seinfeld is what that was.
The whole Curb Your Enthusiasm, either one.
Yeah, right. Either one of those shows. We appreciate it. So in any case, let's take a look. I haven't seen this yet, and maybe it's going to be the exact same footage that we have already seen. And it's going to lose something because we're going to watch it for the first time. But usually when you do those reaction videos, the people watching it would be able to hear it. And there's not a way where I can like sneak the audio into our headset and it doesn't go out on the stream. Let's put it this way. There probably is, but I have no idea how to do that.
I have my phone ready, so I'm going to hit the video on my phone when you hit it. So I'm going to hear it here.
Are you really going to do that? That's very smart. I am not smart. So then turn off your mic though, because the whole
the mic's gonna mute. The mic's gonna mute.
The whole point of me muting it is so that we don't
do
that. So I hope that everybody in the chat is excited to hear us talk about this. Oh,
everybody in the chat getting tipsy.
So here I told the whole point of doing this was so that I put it in a separate window so that I would be able to find it again. But guess what? I lost it. I have it now. But as I was kind of vamping, I was like, where is this fucking thing? All right. So we're going to take a look in a moment. We're going to get right over there. And I'm excited for this movie. I'm looking forward to it. I look forward to everything.
I got my seats for the Thursday night premiere.
All right. Well, you'll be ready to chat with us then. We're not going to talk about it Thursday night probably, but maybe on Friday. I don't know. We'll have to find out. But good Lord, I have a lot of tabs open, Brody. I'm just going to have to move it to a different tab. Brody, while I do that, let's get your plugs out of the way. Tell everybody where they can find more David Brody.
Well, you can find me on most social media at David Brody, or I think you can find me on TikTok at David Brody 12. Nothing to see there, though. And you can find me on the Brooklyn Boys podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. New episode comes out in a couple of days. Episode 333. We recorded it today. I think we're releasing it Monday after the holiday weekend.
Did you record it at 33 1/3? Or is that?
Yes. Okay, and at 3:33 p.m.
All right. So if here I'm gonna mute Brody and
as am I.
Yeah. So he's muted. So we are gonna take a look at it, and he's gonna hear it. I'm just gonna look, and here is the latest trailer for Thunderbolts. And as Nate said, that this is probably the 8th trailer we had. We'll even get a shot of Natasha. And now there's something to be said for that. We get to see Natasha here, which is interesting. And I know our audio audience isn't even seeing this, let alone not hearing it. So that'll be something for them to check out after they listen to the podcast. So it's a lot of like look back to Bucky, and we see Steve, and it's almost like this is some kind of like homecoming. We're getting all the characters and they're talking about how they're people who've done bad things, and the past doesn't go away, says Wyatt Russell, John Walker. And that's true. They've all done some very bad things. And we've got Bucky. And in 2 weeks is when this movie is ready for your theaters in IMAX. Oh, and we did see I Am the Void. Look at what you unleashed. Yes. So this is, of course, Bob, who we tend to know as Sentry. And it's a very strong vibe for Avengers 1, the way that they're all standing together in the city. And there's no chance of that being accidental. We're seeing some flashback stuff of Russia in the snow. And they're calling this One Last Shot. I think we're going to get all these characters again. In fact, we know that they're going to be in some Avengers films. And we're seeing Ghost. We're seeing Sentry. And I don't know. I'm finding this all very interesting because this is not stuff that some of it is. Some of it's stuff from other movies. And Ladastro makes the point that Val, Julie Dreyfus, speaking of Seinfeld Chronicles, Val looked scared. And that's very true. She does not look like she's excited for all of that. And they remind us that it's Thunderbolts with an asterisk. And that is what we just saw there. And Mr. Brody, your thoughts on what we just watched? I gave the worst play-by-play ever. Now there's a thing happening, and there's a person, and it says a thing. And there we go. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well,
I liked. Go ahead. Go. You first.
No, it looks great. It looks like they're all preparing to die. The dialogue was, I have regrets in my life. I have things I
watched it with the captioning on, and I was showing some of that.
The music was Under Pressure. It sounded like a remake of Under Pressure by Queen.
Oh, by Robert Van Winkle, the remake of Under Pressure that is called Ice Ice Baby. Was it that one?
No, not that one. By the way, it's completely different. The original goes dun 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 dun, and his goes dun 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 dun.
You know what? You're right. His is actually completely different. Thank you for reminding me. It's been a long time. I forgot.
Yeah, that's Led Zeppelin. Anyway, I thought the trailer looks great. I think it looks emotional. I'm not convinced that people whose names appear in the Doomsday teaser, are all going to live.
Yes, I think that's a safe bet for sure.
I think they put people from the Thunderbolts. They listed their names in that movie so that we wouldn't think they die. Yeah. But I think more people die in this movie than they're letting on. Like we all think Taskmaster is dead. She's not in Doomsday. But I'm not convinced Red Guardian survives simply because his name is on the Doomsday chair.
Well, I would appreciate that actually if they didn't say, well, look who's not in it. And I don't know. I feel like everybody whose name we saw in the chair, we saw there because there are people who are still missing. We don't see Chris Evans,
I just think there's people who are on the chair that may not be in the movie.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a mystery. I think it's possible Red Guardian dies in this movie and he's not. That Harbor is not in Doomsday, but they had to put his name on a chair because if he wasn't there, you go, oh, does he die in Thunderbolts? I think
that's a great point. It is entirely possible. And I can't believe that it's only 2 weeks away because it's, we did just have Captain America Brave New World. That was only 2 months ago. Now we're 1 month away from that. And then we're going to blink, Brody, and we're going to be like a month and a half from Fantastic Four.
Yep.
And so I'm excited for all of it. Excited to talk about that film here on this show and in all those episodes. Thank you for Cam Egan pointing out that this poster and this trailer had been released. Much appreciated. And we've appreciated everybody who's hung in with us as we've talked about The Man Without Fear, and of course, Daredevil Born Again. It's always fun to get to do these shows when they're not called Secret Invasion. Brody, that was before your time. You did not get roped into Secret Invasion, and you're a better man for it. Obviously, the Brooklyn Boys is where people can find you. Social media at David Brody. And Brody, are you joining us when we talk about Creature Commandos on Geekscape Book Club?
Yes, I already have my digital copy of that. And you know what's funny? I was trying to think if you were wrong. Did I do Secret Invasion's breakdown? I did not. I did Loki and I did Hawkeye, and I think somehow I skipped it. I'm thankful for it.
Yeah,
because the fact that I don't remember whether I did it or not means I'm thankful I didn't do it.
Yeah, no, and yeah, we've mentioned that show far too many times on this episode, and look, the chat usually feels this way. Don't ever mention that show again. You're absolutely right, and Ladastro, I agree with you. It's been good to have a steady stream of Marvel content this year. And Daniel, I hope I got to all your points. You're always so good at bringing things up, and it helps me think of things. So Daniel, thank you for hanging in there. Ladastro, and of course, Kemi and everybody who popped in during the course of the show. Even Chris Tuttle did a drive-by. I think I saw Sam Bibley in there at one point. So we had a ton of people, and we appreciate that. And join us in, I think I said 2 weeks from now. Is when we're going to do. It'll be Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Wednesday, April 30th, I think, is when we're going to talk about Creature Commandos over on the Geekscape Book Club. Our show will be back with our coverage on Thunderbolts, but I'm also doing an episode where I'm going to interview an author named Jeffrey Brown, who is doing sort of like a very kid-friendly X-Men book for kids. And people with kids might know him. He's done like the Darth Vader and Son and Darth Vader and Daughter books. So it'll be fun to talk about X-Men in a completely different capacity. That episode will release the day that the book comes out. And I know what day we're recording it, but boy, I don't. So that episode will premiere Monday, April 28th. So you'll see me talk to him about that. And find me. Oh my gosh, Chris Tuttle still here. Very enjoyable. Thank you so much. So yeah, and you can find me on social media at Christian DMZ. My personal podcast, The Blattcast, BLADTCAST, and of course, the show that I spent a weekend in Nashville recording 9 interviews for 100 songs that define heavy metal, hosted by Brian Slagle of Metal Blade Records. You can find that wherever you find podcasts. But
awesome.
That is all the time we have for now. As the great Stan Lee would say, Excelsior!